Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. So today, I got a scenario for you guys. You are a hardworking individual, a businessman by trade. The Republic's regulation and core favoring policies have made it almost impossible for you to continue your small but profitable cargo hauling business. So instead, you become a smuggler. You're just the middleman. If you don't move that illicit product, someone else will anyway, right? One day, while you're enjoying a good old Ewok burger, a Jedi Knight approaches your docking station with a warrant for your arrest, aka a lightsaber. Apparently, you've been hauling death sticks and slaves. Those aren't mine, officer. I don't even work here. Why do I see your face on the front of this ship? It seems like the Jedi was a lot smarter than you had originally thought. You had to think quick and move even faster. Surprise attack! By throwing your delicious Ewok burger, you've managed to catch the Jedi off guard. It buys you some time. What do you do next? You could reach for your old trusty Blastech A280 blaster rifle, or you could grab an even older automatic slug thrower rifle. Then there's that 2-foot long vibro sword that compensates for other things you lack. And lastly, you could just get completely naked. You've heard that it's against Jedi code to attack someone while they're vulnerable. If you went with the A280 blaster rifle, well, you've just shot yourself in the face. If you went with the vibro sword, well, let's say unless it's made out of cortosis, you no longer have hands. If you decided to go naked, I congratulate you for thinking outside the box, but unfortunately, while your shirt was over your head, the Jedi punched you in the face, and you wake up butt naked with your wrists stun cuffed to your ankles for the third time this month. Which leaves the automatic slug thrower rifle. Now, most likely you'll be either dead, skywalkered, or captured, but in this episode, I want to explain to you guys why using a firearm is your best bet at taking down a Jedi or Sith. First, let's talk about blasters. They fire highly concentrated bolts of plasma which contain a ridiculous amount of energy. Ionized plasma is so hot that you can't really use Fahrenheit or Celsius to rate it. Instead, you have to use Kelvin. Fortunately for the Jedi and Sith, they're able to block blaster bolts with their lightsabers, which have plasma blades. This, of course, is made much easier by their supernatural reflexes, speed, and agility. On top of that, they have a precognitive ability to read people's movements before they even take them. That's why they're able to block these bolts with relative ease. But is it really that hard to block a plasma bolt? How fast are they moving? Well, the other day I read a really interesting article in Wired. It breaks down footage from Star Wars and calculates the velocity of your average blaster bolt using math, science, and other witchcraft that I just don't understand. But according to their calculations, a blaster bolt moves around 78 miles per hour, which is slower than your average MLB pitch. Now, this is most likely because the VFX guy never thought anyone would go through all this trouble to figure that out, but until it's proven otherwise, I think it's something we can work with. If plasma bolts only move at 80 miles per hour, even I could deflect a bolt or two. Maybe that's why stormtroopers always miss. It's not their terrible aim, but it's how slow plasma bolts move. Anyway, what makes a Jedi or Sith impressive is their ability to constantly evade and deflect plasma bolts from multiple directions for an extended period of time. Students of Form 5 even specialize in redirecting plasma bolts back at their shooter. So in order to overwhelm a Jedi, we need to find a weapon that has a higher muzzle velocity. A faster projectile means a smaller margin of error. On Earth, our bullets fly at around 2,000 miles per hour and even faster, depending on what kind of goodies we pack into the cartridges. But that means they're faster than a blaster bolt by almost 30 times. That's where a slug thrower comes in handy. Now in Star Wars, a slug thrower is any kind of weapon that fires a solid projectile. Some slug throwers even incorporate energy into their ammunition, which makes it that much more deadlier. The projectiles are often made with metal and therefore melt on contact with a lightsaber. If the slug has enough velocity after being contacted by a lightsaber, it can send molten metal flying into the face of your enemy. This is a game changer. It means you'd be forcing your opponent to dodge and evade your weapon. And better yet, there's a very small chance of that projectile flying back at you and hitting you in the face. But you need a special type of slug thrower in this situation to really overwhelm a Jedi or Sith's ability to dodge your projectiles. Something with a slow fire rate like a Tusken cycler rifle isn't really that useful. But a scattergun, aka shotgun, or a automatic slug rifle can really give you an upper hand, or at least buy you enough time so that you can make a quick escape. It was these properties that made a slug thrower a preferred weapon for Jedi hunters. There have been in Legends several cases where projectiles have given Jedi a serious headache. When Mace Windu traveled to Harun Kal during the Summertime Wars, many combatants were using slug throwers instead of blaster rifles because of the very moist environment and also the local metal-eating fungus. When the Yuuzhan Vong invaded, they utilized several different projectiles like thud bugs, razor bugs, and blast bugs. These living projectiles wouldn't stop flying until they hit their target or were destroyed. The Cherik rifle of the Chiss were capable of firing projectiles that had both kinetic and energy in its bolts. They were extremely powerful and they couldn't be reflected by Jedi, and the enormous amount of kinetic energy behind them meant they could tire down a Jedi and Sith within 2 or 3 hits. Of course, Jedi and Sith weren't completely defenseless against slug throwers. A powerful Force user like Kylo Ren could completely freeze a blaster bolt in its tracks. A similar technique could be utilized to create a Force shield that could slow down and redirect the slug, or even completely stop it. Think Neo from The Matrix.
No way!
Also, if you look at photos of old Republic era Jedi and Sith, you'll notice many of them wear armor. Most kinetic weapons were easy enough to stop, and early personal armor was geared towards specifically stopping projectile weapons. But in the end, if you're a slave trafficker / death stick mule and you get caught by the Jedi, your best course of action is to get naked, curl up into a little ball, and pray for the best. That's usually what I do when I encounter difficult situations. But should you feel the stupid urge to fight back, you might as well use the right weapon. Anyway, we recently did a mini-series explaining what would happen if the Galactic Empire attacked Earth. According to the scenario I outlined for you guys, 1,815 of you said that the Empire would win, and 1,094 of you said that Earth would win. Well, that's interesting. I guess a lot of you guys would defect to the Empire. Anyway, in today's poll, I want to ask you, which weapon would you use if you encountered this situation? Just click on the little circle in the top right corner and I'll let you know in a few episodes what the results are. Next episode, guys, I'll let you know what kind of equipment I would use if I were hunting down a Jedi. So don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification button so you don't miss out on all that craziness. As usual, thanks for joining us. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.